Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-explorer, Amy.
Hello.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios, and we have a fun, haunted and spooky episode for you. And we're sticking to the West Coast with this one with a haunted San Francisco look.
Yeah, why do you think San Francisco is so haunted?
San Francisco has, it's a city of a lot of history. It goes back to before our nation was even a nation. And it has a lot of tragedy connected to it. I mean, the major things are, of course, the earthquakes of 1906 and 1989, very recent. And then just, a lot of history in there, people passing through. It was a major port, a lot of immigrants coming through there. Not always happy endings. So it is this kind of melting pot of peoples and energies. So it only seems right.
Right.
That San Francisco would be a paranormal hotspot, so to speak.
To me, it's one of those places when you ask people, hey, have you ever been anywhere haunted? San Francisco, like a location in San Francisco is always on the list. It's one of those cities that I think has so many locations that are considered haunted or that are just creepy that people just associate San Francisco with this haunted energy.
Yeah. And, we have been to San Francisco a number of times, including recently. We've stayed in a number of places. We've visited all around the city. It is one of our favorite places. I think it's one of those cities that kind of gets a lot of bad press, some deservedly, some not. But it does remain high on our list. And we have been to a number of these places we're going to talk about. We're going to look at the St. Francis, and we're going to kind of discuss maybe the Queen Anne and Alcatraz Island. So, a lot of energy, a lot of different paths in there. So let's just look at the city itself. The city itself is, like I just mentioned, a little bit older than the United States itself. Technically, San Francisco was founded June 29th, 1776. Now, if that date sounds familiar, it's because on July 4th, 1776, that whole Declaration of Independence thing, was being signed and ratified and all of that stuff. So technically, San Francisco is older than the United States. And even its history then goes back even further. It was a Spanish mission and, a lot of things. So, and it has this moment, like I said, where you have a lot of immigrants coming through. You have not only Irish, but then the nation opened up to lands in the East. So a lot of Chinese immigrants come through there, and they set up, in this new nation and everything, trying to do their very best to get ahead. So you have all of these intersecting histories, which kind of creates this thing.
Well, I wonder too, because of the gold rush and mining of such a dangerous occupation, that has to play into it also.
Yeah. It's in a very important port. It has a national military cemetery that we have visited. Alcatraz was home to some of the most notorious and violent criminals of its era. So, there's a lot of different intersecting things happening. So you see the popular ghost shows like Ghost Adventures and what's the other one?
Ghost
Hunters and things. They always go to San Francisco, and they always come back with some really interesting evidence on video and audio stuff and everything. So let's kind of look into it. All right. This is a place that we've stayed recently, the first one. We're going to talk about the St. Francis Hotel.
Right. The Westin St. Francis.
Yeah. Now it's called the Westin St. Francis, but it was the Hotel St. Francis or St. Francis Hotel it was founded in 1904. So it's about 120 years old.
Right. And I first stayed at the Westin St. Francis about 8 years ago without you. And I remember walking into the lobby and thinking, wow, this is a beautiful historic hotel, and checking in and then going up to the floor that my room was on. And I remember thinking immediately, this place is haunted.
Yeah.
And I went into my room and, walked around and called you and told you I am for sure staying in a haunted place. And you were like, why do you think that? And I'm like, you can just feel it.
Yeah. And you are not easily spooked. I mean, you kind of border on, I mean, belief, but practical, and practicality and everything. So for you to actually call me up and say, something's off with this place out of the blue, like I didn't like prod you in any kind of like, hey, what is this or whatever.
Right.
You just were like, hey, this ain't right. And then our more recent experience, we were actually checking it out. We were walking around in the middle of the daytime. It was like 2 or 3 in the afternoon, if even that, around noontime.
Yeah.
And we were going to one of it has a lot of staircases.
A lot of staircases.
Those old buildings that have been kind of refurbished. It has a lot of kind of weird architecture built into each other. So we were going to we were by one of the central staircases, and something happened.
Yeah, we were walking up to it, and you were kind of filming, and all of a sudden, I just got full body chills, which happens occasionally, but like not like this. It really like rolled over my whole body. But the part that was the creepiest was that it didn't stop. And the closer I got to the staircase, the stronger it got. And we were laughing about it because you thought I was joking. But for real, these chills lasted a good 30 to 45 seconds before they finally started going away. And I've never had full body chills like that before.
Yeah. And it spooked you.
It did.
It spooked you for the rest of the day. You were thrown off. The St. Francis, okay, at one time, it's lost a little bit of its luster. I will say that. But at one time, it was where the rich and famous, royalty, politicians, celebrities, everyone descended it. Everyone who was anyone went to the St. Francis. Even as close back as Queen Elizabeth herself, when she made one of her few stateside appearances, she met with President Ronald Reagan at the St. Francis. You might know a little bit from Fatty Arbuckle, silent era and like golden era of Hollywood star, who had some interesting run-ins with the police there, including a mysterious death and some accusations from one of his companions that was there. Other guests and staff have reported phantom footsteps, doors slamming shut on their own, ghostly apparitions in the hallway. We kind of walked around. We wanted to later. We didn't get a chance to, but we wanted to check it out. And I mean, it is eerie to even just walk around.
Yeah. Yeah. The level that they call the mezzanine, where a lot of the ballrooms and the meeting rooms are, we were walking through there. There were no other meetings or anything happening on that level. So we were the only people. And to me, it's one of the few places that hasn't been modernized in the property. And it does just have this, like, as you said, eerie feeling. We were walking down that hallway that has mirrors on both sides. And it's just this, I don't want to say presence, but just this, something's not quite right feeling there.
I mean, tons of cold spots, strange orbs that people have captured in camera, with photos and video. A lot of the ghost hunting groups that we mentioned have gotten recorded EVPs of female voices crying, some of them asking for help. A lot of people believe that is Virginia Rapp, who was Fatty Arbuckle's companion, quote-unquote companion, who died under mysterious circumstances. And a lot of other people are just like, hey, man, there's been so many documented and, urban legend, undocumented unfortunate demises in and around that hotel and even just the land itself, that it just gives off this vibe.
It does.
And of course, really does. The hotel is smart. They don't go advertising it. They don't want any part of the haunted history of it. But like you said earlier, it always appears on everyone's lists, and it remains popular with paranormal investigators. And it's something that if you are into dark tourism, haunted tourism, paranormal of any kind, you should probably book yourself a stay at the St. Francis in San Francisco. And, be respectful, but definitely walk around a little bit, man, because there's something in that place, man. And it ain't just whatever, I don't know, the fish sticks. It's the Unskilled Traveler Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-explorer and co-host, Amy.
Hello.
We're coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We're having a ghostly good time talking about, haunted San Francisco and some of the places that you can go and visit to get your haunt on, girl. I don't know what that was about.
Oh,
so we were chatting about the St. Francis Hotel, probably the most famous haunted hotel in San Francisco. And, a question that I thought about while we were walking around in the city, we went to some different haunted locations. We're going to get to Alcatraz and the Presidio and everything, but I don't think I've ever asked you, I think where you stand on ghosts and the paranormal, but for our listeners, where do you stand on the ghosts and paranormal? Because I can explain it all day long, but what do you actually believe? I mean, do you believe there are ghostly?
I believe in a spirit realm, I guess, but would I say that I believe that spirits stick around a location? I that's not something that I really put a lot of stock in, but when you feel something that you can't explain, what else would you call it? I do believe in a spiritual world. I grew up religious, and that's part of that. Like
angels and
yes,
things like that.
Angels and things, and that people have a spirit, and that spirit goes somewhere when you pass away. But I never put much stock into a spirit hanging around on Earth and haunting a location. But there have been times I've felt something, you hear something, things happen that make you question. Are there still spirits here that shouldn't be?
Very interesting. Okay, good.
Do you?
Do I? That's, I do. And I love the show, Ghost Adventures. I love that show. We grew up on that show with our kids, I should say, watching it and everything. My question is always why is it Victorian era ghosts? Why?
You did ask this question when we were in San Francisco.
How come it's not it's not.
It's not Chad from 3 years ago. He crashed his Beamer.
It's not a stockbroker bro. It's not a finance bro. Chad is just bro, what's happening? And he doesn't know he's dead. He's terrorized, in his penny loafers. I don't know. Anyway, so we were talking about St. Francis, but now let's turn our focus to another hotel there. This one's on Sutter Street. It's the Queen Anne Hotel.
Right.
So a little background. Originally, it was an elite girls' boarding school in the 1890s, and now it's a boutique luxury hotel. Again, on Sutter Street and everything. And we came across this TripAdvisor review from someone who actually stayed in the hotel.
Yes. So I'm going to read it. Mm-hmm. It is from Susie Milwaukee is her name. And this is from 2017. It says, my family actually stayed in a lovely corner room with a turret. We were impressed the hotel had survived the San Francisco earthquakes and fires. We knew nothing of the hotel supposedly being haunted. I wake one night to experience a feeling of someone tucking me in and gently pushing me on the collarbone. I thought it was a strangely comforting feeling. The next day, we find out the hotel was supposedly haunted by the former headmistress who ran the boarding school for girls, and we were told that she likes to tuck people in at night. What? It continues to go on, but the hotel responds back to her, and this is what I find most interesting. And they say, it's rare that someone experiences our friendly ghost outside of room 410, which is AKA the Miss Mary Lake Suite. Only truly gifted people seem to experience her at all, so you must have some extraordinary abilities. What? Oh, it gives me chills just reading that.
That's awesome.
Nope. So, I'll go visit it. I don't necessarily want to sleep somewhere where a ghost is going to tuck me in.
I don't know about that. The headmistress, Miss Mary Lake, she ran the school and was said to be very heartbroken when it closed. That would tie her spirit to the property after her death. Okay. And that is some of the paranormal activity. Guests who stay in room 410 have reported strange occurrences, such as being tucked into bed with invisible hands, items moving on their own, the smell of perfume lingering in the air. And this is one of the rare properties that actually acknowledges that something otherworldly is going on. And I mean, they don't like go into it, but they do acknowledge that, yeah, sometimes some stuff happens here.
Right. Because when I started talking to people I know who have been to San Francisco a lot, or even some people I know who live there, they all, when you say haunted hotels in San Francisco, they all start naming hotels off, hotels that are supposedly haunted. But if you go to any of these hotels' websites, they don't talk about the hotel being haunted. They're not offering ghost tours of their own property.
Right. They should. I think they're missing something.
Lean into it.
So other paranormal evidence that has been captured. Multiple reports of temperature drops, sudden cold drafts, and otherwise warm rooms. Paranormal investigators have often captured recording of a woman's voice, softly humming or speaking, thought to be Miss Mary Lake, in areas in and around room 410. And even a video once showed a door closing slowly on its own, even though no one was near it.
The thing about the Queen Anne Hotel being haunted that is a little bit different than some of the other haunted locations we've read about is that this presence is supposed to be comforting and calming. It's not menacing or like scary, I guess, which
Does that make it better?
That's my question. Does that make it better? Like, to me, it's still, if it is truly haunted, it's still a spirit there. So you're okay with a nice spirit?
If they were real, would you still be calling the Ghostbusters? Whether the spirit was happy or angry, would you still call it Ghostbusters?
I don't know. I mean, it still has to be creepy to like hear doors closing in the middle of the night and footsteps. I didn't tell you this, but this morning before we left to go pick our dog up, it was just me and the cat downstairs, and you were upstairs in the bedroom. And for a second, I swear I heard the dog coming down the stairs. And the cat and I both turned, and I was about to call to him when I remembered the dog wasn't at home.
You brought something back.
So what did I hear?
Is that what you're saying?
What did I hear?
I need you to get up and leave. I need you to go. Take the dog, too, and the cat. The cat's half in, half out anyway.
She is. She heard it, too. We both turned and looked at the stairs.
That cat, Sailor, is... you know how I feel about that one. She can go. She's cute, but she can go. I don't know. You threw me off there.
I'm sorry. I remembered that I wanted to tell you that.
Thanks a lot. Thanks. I won't be sleeping. See, I don't know, man. I don't know. I would, you know what? Let me be honest, man. Like, even if it was Casper, even if he was floating around,
even if it was a cartoon ghost,
I don't care if it was Casper, the cartoon ghost, or Devon Sawa, whenever he turns human. We calling someone. We're going to get
somebody's
that thing.
Somebody's coming to get these ghosts.
Exercise. Keep it right here. It's the Unskilled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unskilled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host. Remember, for all of our past episodes and interviews, find us at unskilledtravelshow.com. I'm here with my co-explorer, Amy Long.
Hello.
We are coming to you from beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada at the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We're talking about haunted San Francisco. Wonderful places you can visit around the city if you want to check out the paranormal or dark tourism, haunted tourism. I don't know. That was Freudian slip there. Moving on. We have chatted a little bit about the St. Francis Hotel, the Queen Anne Hotel, including people getting tucked in. Don't like that. Now let's shift our focus to the west side of the city, or kind of northwest side of the city. At Land's End. It's really the Golden Gate recreational area. and it has a ton of hiking trails if you've never been over there. It's also one of the more paranormal, has a lot of energy on that side of the city. A lot of
activity.
Yeah, a lot of activity going on. And this centers around a couple of places, the Sutro Baths and the Cliff House.
Right.
The Cliff House originally was built around 1863, but you were telling me you did a little bit more reading on it. It's been rebuilt a number of times.
Yeah, it says on this particular website it's been rebuilt at least 4 times because it's burnt down to the ground, completely burnt to the ground, at least twice. And then other times there's been just damage to the house, other things that they've had to tear it down and rebuild it. Now it is a restaurant, but it was at one point a home, and it is still reported to be haunted. Even as a newer building that only operates as a restaurant, people still report paranormal activity there.
Yeah.
Right. So is the ground haunted? Like, that's the question. Are the grounds themselves haunted? Is it because it's right there on this cliff where the baths are, where there's so many shipwrecks and other things, that just the area itself is haunted and it doesn't matter what building is on the property?
Yeah, it might be. A lot of activity, a lot of energy can sometimes manifest itself, especially, you have the meeting of I've read somewhere like the meeting of the ocean and the land, and, it's always stirring things up, that crafty ocean. But the Cliff House itself, I mean, it wasn't always like this. It was seen as a very, very luxurious place. I mean, again, you're talking about near the beginnings of the city. So out there was very, it was very much for the rich and the famous and celebrities. We're talking U.S. presidents have stayed at this house, or the original home and everything. But the Sutro Baths are something that are around there as well. These were lavish public bathhouses. They were built in the late 1800s, I think somewhere around 1895, 1896. And they also burned to the ground in around 1966 or so, leaving behind skeletal ruins of them, on Land's End and everything. So it's also been the location of drownings, and just it has this ominous atmosphere about it.
Right.
And I unknowingly, a couple of years ago when I went to San Francisco, you were busy, so I went off and ventured by myself. I walked around the city, bussed around the city, went to different areas, and I remember walking through this area. I didn't stay for very long. Why? I'll tell you why. I don't get spooked very easily unless I, kind of goad myself into it. And it was the middle of the day, but it was a very foggy, like overcast, typical San Francisco day. And I was walking by the area, and I found myself alone on a trail. And that's when I was like, just
an ominous feeling.
I found the closest bus stop that I could, which was a little hike away. And I made my way up to Baker Beach. That's when I went up to Baker Beach that time, and then saw a bunch of nude people. And that was a different kind of haunting. But this one, I remember it clearly now because I was like, wow, it just had this ominous energy about it. And I didn't know until we started researching this episode that it had such a kind of this tragic past of all these strange things that have happened.
Right. I think too, because I remember like the first time we went to San Francisco, and you probably don't remember this, but we got on the bus, and I remember we were just riding all over the city. And we got off over near the Cliff House because I remember seeing it in the distance, and we didn't know what it was at the time. But it, again, was one of those foggy, overcast days. And I remember we got off and we started walking, and then we just decided to turn around and get on the next bus that was coming in like 8 minutes. Like, it was just we got off the bus. We thought we were going to walk around the beach area, and just something made us decide not to do it.
Yeah.
And like we later found out, we were near the Cliff House. That was the building that we saw in the distance. It's just a feeling there. I don't know you can't describe it. Just this feeling of like, I shouldn't be here.
Some of the activity that people have reported seeing, shadowy figures standing next to the water's edge as if peering down into the water and then just disappearing. Strange mists rising up from the sea. Now, this one you got to take with a grain of salt. It is next to the water. There's always something coming out of that water. But sometimes these myths are taking human shape. A lot of people hear whispers, almost like something is talking to them on the wind or something like that. And they have tunnels underneath the bath, the Sutro baths. Lots of haunted, ghostly figures walking through the tunnels, captured on video, just being there and then disappearing.
People
EVPs.
also report, because there were so many shipwrecks right there on those cliffs,
Right.
seeing a boat wrecking, like seeing an actual shipwreck happen and going over to the cliff to check it out, and the boat is gone.
There you go.
Right.
Seeing an actual shipwreck?
Yeah.
A ghostly shipwreck? Again, it's not Chad wrecking his yacht. I'm guessing this would be an older ship. I don't know. But that place has a energy to it. And that's when I felt myself that I was like, no, I'm going to go ahead and cash out on this one, bud. So keep it right here. We're going to have more. We're having fun. It's Haunted San Francisco. It's the Unscaled Travel Show. It's your favorite things in the world. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-ghost hunter, Amy.
Hello.
We are in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada, the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We are talking about haunted San Francisco, some wonderful places you can check out if haunted history or haunted tourism is your thing, which it's the perfect time to go see and do, which is,
Witches
and ghosts. And, if you go on unscaledtravelshow.com, you can catch all kinds of paranormal episodes. We've visited Salem. We have visited the Lizzie Borden house and tons more haunted hotels and houses and all kinds of stuff. So check it out, unscaledtravelshow.com. This next one was just too fun to leave off.
Right.
It is technically in San Jose, which is south of San Francisco, but it's often grouped together in it because it is within driving distance.
It's close. It's like an hour away.
Yeah, or you can take a train. So, you can make your way down there pretty easily. This is the Winchester Mystery House. Now, this was a mansion built for ghosts. By a ghost. No, I don't know. Give us a little history on the Winchester Mystery House.
Okay, so the first thing you need to know is that Sarah Winchester lived with her husband and daughter in Connecticut. Her daughter was an infant and she died. And then a few years later, her husband died. And so Sarah decided to move from Connecticut to San Jose. In San Jose, she bought an 8-room farmhouse and began what is known as the world's longest home renovation. It lasted until she died in 1922. But the question of why is what I think draws so many people to this house. Why?
Well, first, who was her husband?
Well, yeah, that is a really good point. So her husband was William Winchester, who I guess was the owner or the heir to the Winchester Repeating Arms Company, which Winchester Rifles.
Right.
So that just kind of adds to all of this.
Mm-hmm.
No one really knows why exactly she decided to start this insane home renovation. Some people say she was told that by a psychic that people who were killed by her husband's rifles their ghosts were going to come after her. Some people say that she was just eccentric and just wanted to do this crazy thing. Some people say she lost her mind after losing her baby and husband so close together. But basically what she did was build a house that serves no actual purpose. There are staircases that lead nowhere. There are doors that open into walls. There are rooms that are completely hidden that you can't get into. It is truly an insane property. There's no other words to it. The specs on this house, it's 24,000 square feet, 10,000 windows, 2,000 doors in this house, 47 stairways, 17 chimneys. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but it like I can't even describe how crazy this house is.
How much would that have cost her? I mean, I know they had a fortune because he was, had the Winchester rifle and everything, but how much did she spend?
And when she passed away in 1922, they estimated she had spent $5 million at that time, which in today's currency would be $71 million on renovations.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. So obviously, I mean, the staircases to nowhere, the doors opening into walls, hidden rooms, all of this, all kind of meant to somehow confuse and trap these spirits? That's
the theory, that all of this craziness was supposed to confuse ghosts so they could not find her in the house.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you think a ghost is truly haunting a house, can't they just go through walls and doors and floors?
Not if they're confused. Okay. They're just as confused as we are. If they're looking at stairs to nowhere, they're like, well, I mean, what am I supposed to do here? I mean, okay, so a medium gets a hold of Sarah, obviously tries to take advantage of her, but tells her, I know one of the urban legends is like, they told her if the house was ever completed, she would die.
Right.
And she did live a very long life. I mean, she was, 80s, in her 80s or so when she passed away. So I guess good job. Yeah. You did it. And poor people are crazy. Rich people are eccentric, right? I mean, that's the story
and this
we're getting.
Eccentric lady continued construction on this house for almost 40 years.
40 years. Yeah, she believed it. If someone got a hold of her, she believed that. So visitors and staff often report cold spots, hearing voices, shadowy figures. One of the more notable ghosts is said to be Sarah herself, walking around, being spotted in and around her favorite room, where she allegedly communicated with the spirits that drove her to build this house. So she may have stayed in that world, the paranormal world, seances, Ouija's, all of that. None of that confirmed, just urban legend that's grown over time.
Maybe she was trying to communicate with her husband.
Maybe so. Like Houdini's widow. He died, and they set up some secret communication.
Oh, right.
You do seances, and this is what I'll do if it's really me. Mm-hmm. And she never got the confirmation she needed. But Sarah had a lot of money and time, so she did that. But there have been a number of paranormal, evidence, a little bit of it captured, EVPs in empty rooms, footsteps pacing back and forth in deserted hallways. And there's, again, we kind of just go back to this thing where it just feels eerie to be in and around this place.
Right. I mean, this place, it is a tourist attraction. Yeah. So they draw, it says something like they've drawn over 12 million guests since the doors opened in June of 1923. But it's like, are they coming because they think it's haunted, or are they coming because they just want to see this insane house? Maybe a little of both?
It might be just curious.
Maybe.
Curious one way or another, whether you believe in haunted history or haunted whatever, or if you just want to see some doors and stuff that go to nowhere. Yeah. It's you could just hang out with me for a little while. There's conversations that lead nowhere. This is the Unscaled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unscaled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-host, Amy.
Hello.
We're coming to you from the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios in Las Vegas, Nevada, talking about haunted San Francisco. Some wonderful places you can check out if you'd like to. You know, people check in, but they don't check out. That kind of stuff. Remember, you catch all of our past episodes, interviews, unscaledtravelshow.com. We appreciate everyone that checks out the website and also our YouTube channel, where we're finally starting to post videos of some of our adventures and travels. So go there, subscribe. We appreciate it. We've covered a lot, but let's get into some more. Let's get into...
There's so much.
There's so much. And it's always tough because you got to leave something off. You know, we only have so much time. So let's make our way to one of the older parts and ghostlier parts of the city in the Presidio. Okay.
Right. It has so many areas of it that are haunted. I would venture to say all of it's haunted.
Yeah, that's a good solid guess right there. There's individual stories talking about the Officers Club. There is, and then the different bungalows and infantry, homes around that area.
The old hospital.
And that doesn't even include the National Cemetery, which is a military cemetery. All of this has been around for a very, very long time. So a little bit of historical context, right? So the Presidio served as basically kind of a military base for a lot of different eras in Spanish and American history. Right? It's witnessed all kinds of violence, death, especially during things like the Spanish-American War, the Gold Rush, World War I and II. There was all kinds of stuff always happening. And later on, it became the final resting place for a lot of soldiers and citizens from that era and beyond. So this was an area that we got to witness firsthand.
Right.
We spent some time there, walked around. The Presidio, not only just the National Cemetery, but a little bit of the area itself.
Yeah, we've been there before, but this time we went with the purpose of seeing some of these areas that we knew are supposedly haunted. Mm-hmm. And the more research we did, almost every single building has some type of supposed haunted activity or paranormal activity. Right. Even the open fields down by the beach. The specific field is called Christie Field. It's right on the edge of the Presidio near the water. And it is said that during World War I, it is where pilots trained, and many of them had training accidents and crashed into that field. And it's supposedly haunted with apparitions of these pilots wandering the fields.
Yeah. And that can go for, like you said, all of the buildings around there. It served so many different purposes. And I mean, all kind of focused around wartime, unfortunately, all of these things. There's even right next to it is the place called the Battery, which at one time had military guns that were protecting the ports and waterways. So the time and the history and in the history of the city and just everything else that comes with it, it kind of points to one of these areas like this is going to be a centralized place where all of this energy for the paranormal can kind of build in and around, which makes it really a good hot spot to go and set up if you're on the hunt for ghosts.
Well, one of the things I find probably the most humorous is the building that's probably the most widely known as being haunted is the Presidio Officers Club, which is now a wedding venue. But they
do ghost tours.
They do ghost tours, and it's reported that a woman dressed in all black wanders the property. But if you walk up to this building, as we did, there is a giant sign out there of who to contact to have your wedding in this building.
And you know what? No judgment. There are a lot of people that really do that. Remember that story? The weirdest thing I've ever heard. And I've heard a lot of weird things over the years, but the weirdest thing was when we went to the Lizzie Borden house and they said a guy slept on the floor in the exact spot where Lizzie Borden's stepmother, Abby, was murdered.
Yes.
And he didn't sleep in the bed in the room. He slept on the ground where they found
Where her
body
was. Right.
I mean, so people getting married in a haunted place that is now an event space, it seems a little tame.
But the deal is that this actual location, the property is beautiful and it overlooks the bay. I don't think people are doing it because of the haunted history. I think they're doing it because of these gorgeous old buildings there. It is a lovely venue. But just to know that, oh yeah, my wedding's tonight and tomorrow night they're going to be hosting a ghost tour in this building. I don't know. I don't know if I could do it.
And there's also a very nice Mexican food restaurant.
There is. Next door is a Mexican food restaurant. And then if you walk a few blocks over, probably the creepiest place of the whole Presidio is the pet cemetery.
Ooh.
I mean, yeah, there's a giant national cemetery, as you mentioned, where people are buried, but somehow a pet cemetery not far from that seems just even creepier to me.
I didn't, you told me about it and we looked at it and I didn't want to go in. I mean, and good, because you just told me earlier in the show about phantom dog steps coming down so yeah, I mean, no. But if you look at the entire area, I mean, we walked through it. We walked along the streets. We did go and walk around respectfully in the National Cemetery. I always want to be respectful of these because these are live working things, and this is a final resting space for a lot of individuals. Full disclosure, it was the middle of the day.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't spooky walking around there in the middle of the day, but I can see where some people might get that feeling.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, it was the middle of the day. It was a beautiful day. It was not foggy. It wasn't overcast. But I think the weather in San Francisco plays into a little bit of this when that fog does roll in and it's kind of a damp, chilly day and it's a little bit dark. Imagine walking around that cemetery at night. Cemeteries are a little spooky to begin with. And then to have that fog rolling in off the bay. Yeah, I'm not interested in doing that. Yeah.
I mean, when you are looking at the cemetery was built or established December 12th, 1884. It goes back a very long time now. When we talk about it, I mean, some of the paranormal experiences, just visitors seeing apparitions walking along the grave sites, along the lines, dark shadows, all of those kind of things that you might consider typical now, but it is, full-bodied apparitions of soldiers, some of them marching in formation, only to disappear when approached. Now, why are people approaching soldiers that are dead and marching? I don't know. You totally messed up their count, I guess.
Because it's something like 30,000 soldiers are buried there.
Yeah. Infrared cameras have captured shadowy figures moving between the headstones at night. Paranormal investigators, experiencing drastic temperature drops, EMF spikes. Some have even heard disembodied voices calling out in Spanish, going back to the early days of the fort that was established there. So we got a lot to go on, so it's a hot spot.
It is. I mean, like we said, we were there in the middle of the day. It didn't feel creepy to me at that time, but I can see how if we had gone just a little bit later, I would have a totally different feeling about it.
Ooh, I've got to chill because we were walking around there and a slug tried to attack me. So, see you on Unskilled Travel Show. We'll be right back.
Unskilled Travel Show is brought to you by Diamondback Land Surveying. For all your land surveying needs, contact Diamondback Land Surveying at 702-823-DBLS.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Unscaled Travel Show. I'm Jeremy Long, your host, here with my co-explorer, Amy Long.
Hello.
We are chatting about haunted San Francisco, although we are in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. Sin City, safe city. There's no ghosts around here.
Sure.
We're in the Diamondback Land Surveying Studios. We have given you a lot of great places. Now let's talk about one of my favorite places of all time, Alcatraz Island. Alcatraz has a long history in the San Francisco area. It was first a fort and then a military prison before becoming a federal penitentiary in the 30s. And despite all of it, it was only a penitentiary, a working penitentiary for like 29 years. I think less than 30 years did it house criminals. But it is one of the most infamous prisons in the world, and it held some of the United States' most dangerous criminals of that era. We're talking Al Capone, Bumpy Johnson, the Birdman of Alcatraz, all kinds of people, Doc Barker, murderers, killers, violent criminals. And the prison was harsh. It had harsh conditions. It was isolated, a number of violent deaths. Even after the prison was officially established, there was a riot. Prison guards were killed, and then things happened inside to a lot of these criminals. We're talking murders, suicides, and even some hellacious attacks. And it's something that we recently got to go on a tour of at night. We went on a nighttime tour of Alcatraz. And to be perfectly upfront, there are a lot of people when you go.
Right.
And our group actually, because of things happening, technical glitches within the system, they actually had two combined groups. So we actually had a bigger group of people all go out to Alcatraz together. We're talking probably 200 or 300 people all together. So it wasn't until a little bit later on in our tour that we got to actually separate out and get some alone time in some of these different areas around the prison that people kind of thinned out a little bit. But it was fun. It was fun on a spooky kind of level. And they were even dealing with some technical issues and light issues of their own on the island, which meant that certain sections of the island around the prison that were normally lit up were completely dark. And the lights that were inside of Alcatraz at the time were flickering a lot. And we were just everyone was kind of looking at each other like, oh, this is the experience that we paid for. And we're so happy that we did it.
Yeah. So at first I was a little bit like, oh, I thought this was going to be creepy. But here we are with 200 other people in a line, just walking by these cells, these big posters with pictures on them. It didn't feel that creepy at all until, like you said, we sort of separated out a little bit from the group. We weren't smashed in there with other people. We kind of just hung back and let everybody else go ahead of us and started venturing on our own. So you do, as soon as you get there, you're kind of ushered straight up to the top and you're given a headset for the audio tour. We quickly realized the audio tour, it was interesting, but we wanted to do our own thing. Yeah. And we went outside for a little bit and walked around the outside near the warden's house, which is just ruins at this point. Yeah. But that's when we went back inside, and a lot of people had moved on to other areas. Because once you're on the island, you can stay as long as you want. You just have to be on the last boat off the island, which is at 9:25 at night. So we knew. We got there around 7:30. We had 2 hours, and then we needed to leave. And we spent those 2 hours kind of just wandering around trying to see if anything felt creepy.
Yeah. And we really got to experience some interesting parts of this prison. Probably the most notorious cell block is D block. D block is said to have housed and home, at least for some periods of time, the most notorious of all of these prisoners that had come through. Some of those I've mentioned earlier. I mean, we're talking people with a litany of a long list of crimes against humanity there. And so the energy built up with the place and everything, it just, once you get alone and you don't have a rush of people around you, you can feel it. Mm-hmm. They have some of the gates or some of the cells open where you can walk inside and experience life when D block was a lot of isolation.
Yes.
They called it the hole, right? This is where you went whenever you messed up when you were already there in Alcatraz. Yeah. They threw you in the hole, which was solitary confinement.
Complete darkness. So it was basically a cell that they had built cement walls in front of and this giant door that sealed, and you would be in complete darkness 24/7. Yeah. I don't know how they fed them because they said complete darkness, but they had to open the door at some point and give them food. But that's part of the audio tour that I did listen to, and one of the guys who had been in there, they had recordings of him saying to keep himself sane, he would rip a button off his shirt and drop it on the floor and spend hours searching for it. And once he found it, he would stand up and drop it again because he had to keep his mind focused on something so he did not go insane.
The supposedly most haunted on D block is cell 14D, which I have a picture of. We spent time taking video of and just kind of maneuvering around. You have pictures of me in next door to it in 13. Mm-hmm. 14 was closed. The gate was closed to it, but 13 was wide open.
Right.
And I went in there, and I don't have long arms. So, I could touch fingertip to fingertip of how big this cell was from wall to wall.
Yeah, they said the cells were 5 feet wide and 9 feet long.
Amazing that this kind of condition, I'm not arguing conditions of prisons or whatever. I'm just saying for paranormal activity, you can see where people of not a nice nature would maybe start losing it a little bit.
That was the first time it felt creepy to me, was when I walked in that cell and I turned around. You said, let me take your picture. And I turned around and faced you. And so I was standing in the cell, but my back was just
to the dark.
Open to the dark. And it was like a creepy, crawly feeling.
And I got the best picture of you.
I know. I'm making a very weird face
because
because
like someone's grabbing you.
It was just, and up until that point, it didn't feel spooky or creepy at all. And then you just said, let me take your picture. And I turned around for you to do it. And it was just this, I don't know, like fingers touching the back of your neck feeling. Mm-hmm. Didn't like it.
Another famous cell is on B block, actually. Cell 181, which is off the floor. I think it's on the second level. That housed Al Capone. Scarface himself. Man, notorious for all kinds of things. St. Valentine's Day Massacre, all kinds of Prohibition-era crimes, and, all those guys. The Untouchables, Elliot Ness, all that. But they said he was slowly started losing his mind in there, not because of isolation, but because of syphilis. That was destroying his brain at the time. He was often confused and everything, But
to me, the best part of the tour was how we ended it. Oh, when we went up to the hospital area, and you got to do something truly unique that not everybody else gets to do.
Yeah, so we were up there at the very end of the night. Again, the guards clear everyone out. In fact, the guards are leaving with you on the ferry, even though the gentleman I was talking to told me that they do have guards security that stays on the island overnight. That would cost you a lot of money to have me do that. But I was asking him various things. He was telling me very interesting stuff about how they just kind of built on top of structures and made things work for the different variations.
Because originally it was like a military encampment.
Yeah, it was a fort, a Civil War fort, and then a military prison. So a lot of construction on construction. So a lot of odd things. Mm-hmm. Pipes that kind of go up and through walls. There was a toilet that's on a stand.
Yes.
That's what caught me. I was like, what is up with the toilet on the stand? Was that like capital punishment? What was that? He was like, no, sometimes they just had to make weird construction choices. And this was one of them. So, okay, well, that's explanation. But so leaving out of the hospital area, which probably saw some very horrific things in its time. Okay. Which is, to me, probably one of the creepier areas outside of the prison cells.
Yes.
So he was turning off the lights and he said, you know what? Since you're the last guy up here this evening, you're the one that gets the honor of locking the doors behind us. So, he gave me a key, let me slam the door shut, lock it up tight. And I went home happy. I was like, there you go, boys. The cells are all locked up. And if you stick around long enough at the very end, you get to watch them close the cell doors in the prison blocks. So it is fun to check out. Alcatraz, you know, a lot of spiritual activity, a lot of paranormal goodness right there on the island. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, I was a little creeped out to be going on the night tour. And then we got there and I thought, oh, it's not that creepy. And then we went up to the hospital and we were the last people up there. Creepy.
It's the Unscaled Travel Show. We will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.